is called buddhi, then again memory and ignorance and your ahankara, I am so and so notion, all of them he says kshetram. This is what is called kshetram. And who is kshetrajna? The one who is aware of all this, which I have already told, is the kshetrajna, and that kshetrajna is the same. Differences exist in kshetra, but definitely not in kshetrajna. And whether I am kshetra or kshetrajna, that is the question. I am kshetrajna being the subject, kshetra am I not. I am with the kshetra, all right. In me is the kshetra, all right. But then essentially, I transcend the kshetra. I am independent of the kshetra. More about this later, it will come. Then from next verse onwards, is a very interesting verse. From next verse onwards, about 4-5 verses, they are Amanit. I will just repeat, you just see. That much is enough today, just I will repeat. Amanitvamadam vitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam saucham sthairyamatma vinigraha indriyarteshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mrityujara vyadhi dukkha dosha anudarshanam asaktirana bishwangaha putradara grihadishu nityam cha samachittatvam ishtanishtopapatishu mayicha ananya yogena bhaktirabhya vicharini vivikta desha sevitvam aratirjana samsadi adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattva jnanartha darshanam etadjnanamiti proktam ajnanam yadatonyata. Up to this, you have got a real, a beautiful, I would say, a scale of values. A scale of values, enjoying which the mind becomes the mind, in which this knowledge is possible, and even knowledge is gained in a way the fruits of knowledge are not enjoyed. And therefore, if the fruits of knowledge and the knowledge, both of them should be enjoyed by a given mind, then that mind must enjoy these values. Nothing to be frightened, please. They are very beautiful values. If you understand the values, that itself is a great way. I mean, it's a long way to go. Because if the understanding of a value is proper, then the living becomes natural. All we find, we are always frightened to hear a do or don't. We are always frightened to hear of an advice, a mandate, because the mandate seems to be something coming from somebody, and I seem to be one who is obliging to live up to that mandate. That is why there is no heart here. Even if you do it, you oblige a priest, you oblige a church, you oblige a guru, you oblige a book, a scripture, you oblige the society, sometimes the government, and more often than not the parents. And therefore what happens? So this fellow, he has no willing, he doesn't really do it of his own willingness, because he is not convinced. In fact, he is not understood. He is not convinced, he is not understood. A value becomes a value when it is very thoroughly assimilated by me. Then it becomes a part of myself. How you can't pick up from the garbage and eat, even though what is there is an eatable thing, but still you won't eat because, well, that you have grown out of it. So that part of life perhaps one had lived, so that you have grown out of it, you cannot again do it, please. Similarly, everything it can be so. And thus it should be impossible for a man to tell a lie. It should be impossible for him to get angry. It should be impossible for him to be self-centered. It should be impossible. It is not something that he obliges somebody. So the real growth and maturity of a human being is this incapacity, his incapacity to do things that are said here. So manitvam, dambitvam, to do things that anybody else will be that he himself will be ashamed of when he becomes mature. So such things he should not be able to do it, and that is called maturity. Till then this fellow is only struggling, he doesn't know what it is all about. Often we are told by people that you should do this, Ye shall do this, ye shall not do this. Those do's and don'ts are given to us, and they have got to be given to us until we can learn independently. But then once we are capable of independent thinking, then all those values that were given to us as so many mandates coming from the ivory tower, and all those mandates should be assimilated, should become the very fibers of my being. Then there is no mandate necessary for me, because my life itself becomes one continuous flow of those values. Therefore, here Bhagavan gives those beautiful values like amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshanti, arjavam, and even teenagers can attend, even children can attend, I am sure, will be benefited. Thank you very much.
One of the little things I just want to see.
परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतस्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ हे रामचंद्र,
if you remember the question of Arjuna, it was, please tell me what is Kshetra and who is Kshetrajna? What is Purusha and what is Prakriti? Who is Purusha and what is Prakriti? Thirdly, Jnanam Jneyam cha Keshava Etad Veditum Ichchami. He said, what is Jnanam? What is Jneyam? The order was Purusha and Prakriti, Kshetra and Kshetrajna, and Jnanam and Jneyam. Krishna reversed the order, and he first dealt with Kshetra and Kshetrajna for convenience. Then, now he deals with Jnanam, Jneyam, which was the third pair of words, the meaning of which Arjuna wanted to know. Jnanam means knowledge, that is the immediate meaning. But in different contexts, the word can mean differently. Here the context is Jnanam Jneyam. It goes with Jneyam. Jneyam means what is to be known. Without a choice, if something has to be known in one's life, to make that life a fulfilled one, that is called Jneyam. Anything Jnana Yogyam Jneyam. Anything that can be known is called Jneyam. So even this book, as a book, not what is inside the book, is Jneyam. Here is a book, Jneyam. Here is a wall, Jneyam. Here is a man, Jneyam. Anything that can be known is Jneyam. But if there is in life that one has to know definitely without any choice, and for which knowledge there is no choice, that is called real jnana. Knowing which everything is as well known, missing which any intellectual accomplishment is as well not gained, that is called jnana. Man is rational. Even though you would like to believe more than you think and know, but still you want some basis to believe. That means you are a rational person. Nobody believes without a basis. He wants some basis even for a belief, because he is rational. And in fact, only a rational being can believe also. An animal doesn't believe in anything. It need not, because it has no faculty of thinking. Where the faculty of thinking is there, then only belief comes into the picture. You believe because you can know. And therefore, man is fundamentally, he is a rational being, and being a rational being, he has this quest, as I told you in the beginning. The quest is because he is self-conscious. And when he is self-conscious, he is conscious of his imperfections, his limitations, which he can't happily stand. Therefore, there will be an attempt on his part to become limitless. But not knowing what exactly is his problem, he goes about doing a lot of things. That is because he is more a groper than a seeker. A groper is one who doesn't know what he seeks, but he knows he's seeking. So once he becomes a seeker, he's one who has got a direction and he knows what he seeks. Everyone is a mumukshu in the beginning. A mumukshu means a man who has got a desire to free himself from all limitations. In the beginning, he goes about doing a lot of things, the usual things that everybody does. But later, if he discovers these pursuits don't really help me, then he becomes a mumukshu. He does something spiritual now in order to liberate himself from limitations, from bonds, from hang-ups, from these pursuits, from these wants. Then we call him a mumukshu. There again he is bound to miss the bus in as much as he can again start doing something. And therefore he begins doing something differently. So previously he was repeating name of money, but now he will be repeating something else. But therefore because he has still no direction. Somebody tells him do this, do that, again he begins doing it. He reverses himself, stands on his head for a few hours, thinking that something is going to happen. Now you can't blame him. He wants to achieve, but he doesn't have any direction. And the whole thing is just like a dot he gets into the unknown. And he doesn't know which exactly is the target, what he is going to hit. He just gets into the unknown. The field is unknown. What he searches for is unknown. The man who aids him is an unknown entity again. He doesn't know him, whether the fellow knows or not, he doesn't have anything to really check up. And therefore he delivers himself into the hands of unknown. And the search may yield, may not yield. And it may take long time for him to discover that he is still in the same hot pursuit. But till then he has got some hope, because he is doing something different. It gives him one satisfaction that he is doing something in this direction, except that he doesn't have anything. But then, if by chance he gets the right person, or right direction he gets at least, that the problem is not one of gaining something that I don't have, but it is owning something that I have already. Limitlessness is not something that I can produce, And therefore, either it is I am limitless or I am limited for good. If I am limitless, then I should know. Thus, if he gains this much of direction, then the pursuit becomes not of doing, it becomes one of knowing. Then he begins searching for one who can make him know. The one who makes him know is called Guruhu, as the word explains itself, as it always does in Sanskrit. Gu stands for darkness, Ru stands for the one who destroys darkness, about myself. So he is tad vijnanartham guru meva bigacche. Nasti akritaha kritena. So what is already there need not be created, cannot be created also. Therefore, tad vijnanartham, for gaining that knowledge, go to that man who will give you this knowledge. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. Go to that man who can really bless you, who is very well informed of the very method of teaching, and not only that, he knows what he teaches. And if a man knows but he doesn't have the method of teaching, he is useless to you. He is useful insofar as you can just see him and draw some inspiration from. Perhaps he deserves, if you are a Hindu, or you appreciate that culture, you can give him a big prostration. He deserves that. Nothing more than that, for he can't communicate. Therefore, the one who is capable of communication, and the one who is sure of his method of communication, that man is called Shrotriya or Shastrajna, and unto that Shastrajna go, who knows what he teaches, and he can make you see. This is the mandate given for every mumukshu. So the first an adventurer becomes now an inquirer. He becomes a jignasu. You begin always as a mumukshu, then ends up as a jignasu. Jignasu means jnatum ichuhu jignasu. Jnatum means to know. Ichuhu, the one who has the desire for knowing. And thus the one who has got the desire for knowing is called jignasu. In the beginning he had a desire for liberation, but he didn't know what it was liberation and how he was going to be liberated. He didn't know. He was ready to do anything that his guru is going to tell. But then, because he had no direction. But if he gains the direction, the problem is one of knowing, not one of doing. Then he becomes a jignasu, and then his direction, there is a purpose in his work, whatever he does. Because a pursuit gains a direction, it is no more groping, it becomes real search, real seeking for, he knows what he is searching for. And that object of search, that limitless, that Brahma, as we have talked in the morning, so that becomes the very jnayam, a thing to be known. Because it has a thing to be gained in terms of knowledge. No choice. Because nobody can vote for unhappiness, nobody can vote for bondage. Already he is bound and he wants to be free. So since you have no choice, in happiness there is no choice because everyone wants to be full and happy. There is no choice open to you. Naturally, therefore, being is a choiceless thing, an end for which there is no choice at all. Is a thing that has got to be known by everybody. The only problem is some people know that they want this, many people don't know. Therefore, once they know this is a thing that I am seeking in life, it is not open to choice. Even the people who don't know, and they also search for the same thing. Unknown they search, because they are not satisfied with what they are and begin searching for the same thing. Therefore, what is going to satisfy is only this knowledge. Owning up that I am free, I lack nothing. And there is nothing like fullness, please. You are not going to gain anything equal to fullness, because fullness is like fullness, it has no other thing equal to it. And therefore, he must discover that I am full. Till then, like the river that wants to reach the ocean, he will keep moving, there is no choice. Therefore, the word that is used here, jnayam, Arjuna, this is a thing to be known by you and it is not open to choice. You have got to know. And if a thing that has to be known, then naturally, then there should be a means of knowledge. And the means of knowledge is the teaching. Suppose, what is to be known, listen well, what is to be known is already accomplished. I am the one that is to be known. I am there very much. Then the means of knowledge is available, the teaching is available. Give the benefit of doubt to the teacher, and he seems to know what he teaches. Thus, if the teaching also is available, what is to be known is available, then the knowledge must necessarily take place. If it doesn't take place, we should know that the mind is not prepared for that knowledge. Because here what is in and what you are in for is a peculiar knowledge. It is unlike any other knowledge. For instance, if you want to know what a TB is, a disease called a TB, you are doing research on TB, you don't want to be a TB fellow. If you are doing research on a cell, you don't want to become a cell, you are already one. You don't not one, there are many cells you are after all. You don't want to become a cell. If you want to know something about geology or geography, you don't want to become any of them. If you want to know about physics, you don't want to become physics. If you are making if you want to know what is a potassium cyanide, you don't want to become potassium cyanide. If you want to know what an acid is, you don't want to become one. And whereas if you want to know Brahman, you want to become one. If you know what is limitless, you want to become that. If you want to know what is that silence, what is that fullness, what is that fulfillment, then you want to become that. And therefore here what I want to know is a value. It is not just a concept. It is not just an intellectual knowledge, but it is something that I want to be. I want to be full. And I don't know how can I be full. Therefore, I go in for this and that. And all this and that have burnt my fingers. And therefore, having been burnt, now I begin a new search. And this search again is again a chance. And by chance, I come to discover what is to be gained by me is one of discovery, is one of knowing what I am already. And then, naturally, so that fullness that I am seeking in my life, and that freedom from all forms of limitation, as I said yesterday, the limitation of time, limitation of ignorance, limitation of unhappiness, or lack of fullness. So these are the threefold limitations that a soul is suffering from. That soul is yearning, a soul that is panting for that freedom. Naturally, that freedom is a value. It is a thing that I should own up. And therefore, it is not just if I know that there is such a freedom, I'm not going to be freedom. So I want to be free. Therefore, what I am going to gain in terms of knowledge is a thing that I want to be. If I am the limitless, then limitless I want to be. It is this that I have been searching for all the time. It is not that I want to know the limitless, I want to be the limitless. Since I am the limitless, I have to own it up in terms of knowledge. That is why I want to know the limitless. Otherwise, I need not know the limitless. I will become the limitless. If limitlessness is something that I have to gain in time, I will work for it and gain that limitlessness. But limitlessness cannot be an end of a process of change. And you can't become the limitless. Therefore, if I am the limitless, then since you give me a direction for my achievement, then it becomes an achievement of the already achieved. Therefore, I want to know. And therefore, what I want is limitless, a freedom from limitations. And the freedom from limitation is an accomplished fact. That is the very nature of the I. And therefore, what I seek in life, Sattan Chittan Ananda, as I said, is Sattan Chittan Ananda. Therefore, so I want to be Satchidananda. Here, the what I want to know and what I want to be are identical. Understand this? So what I want to know and what I want to be being identical, then the mind also must be something relatively ready for this knowledge. Because I have to be that. Therefore, if the I in me is something, all silence, let us begin with that word. All silence it is, I want to be peaceful. I want to be free from agitations. Now, if I want to be free from agitations, then I want to be all silence and peace. And the nature of the self is all peace. It is pure simple awareness, which is no mentation. It is free from any agitation, and therefore I am always peace. Now, if I am all peace, then if the mind is always a question of, is always agitated. Now, even if he is told that you are all peace, the fellow will not be able to understand, for he is restless. And when he is told you are peace, how can he ever imagine that he is peace when he is so much restless? And therefore, he will think that it is just an impossible thing. How can I be peace? Swamiji, I know better than what you know about me. About me, I know better. My mind, you don't know. You are talking of some other mind. But my mind, I know very well. It is all chanchalam hi manak Krishna. And Arjuna, when he was told you are everything, and Arjuna asked this question, hey Bhagavan, you think that my mind is agitated, and it is not agitated. Then what is it then? Oh, it's all peaceful. No, my mind is not agitated. Agitation is my mind. Chanchalam hi manak Krishna, he said. So if it is agitated, now and then it becomes peaceful. But it is not so. My agitation is mine. He tells, chanchalam hi manak Krishna. He indeed, manaha, the mind, chanchalam, it is a clean definition of mind. He says, Arjuna's question. Therefore he says, mind is agitation. In this agitation, that is the mind, your word goes and tells, delivers these goods, that you are all peace, a sentence is told. And this fellow, I am all peace. How can I ever be peace? I am so agitation, how can I be ever peace? Therefore, here the knowledge of what you want, the knowledge of the thing that I want to gain is something that I want to be. And therefore, if I am all silence, my mind to appreciate that I am silence, it should be relatively quiet. A relatively quiet mind can discover the quietude that is absolute. The relatively loving mind can discover the love that doesn't demand anything. A love that demands is not a love. It is a kind of security. So a love that doesn't demand, that is called absolute love. And that absolute love I can discover only my mind is relatively loving. Understand this. So the loving mind can discover absolute love. A sympathetic mind can discover absolute sympathy without any reason. And again, a happy mind, a content mind can discover happiness or fullness. A content mind can discover fullness, adequacy. And therefore, my mind must necessarily be relatively ready for discovering the absolute, the counterpart. And this relative state of mind is not an impossible thing. Only what is required is a change of values. I must discover certain values. What is a value? If I am convinced of a particular value like Satyam Vada, speak truth. So in this is something a mandate now. What is now a mandate? If it becomes a thing that I am very well convinced about, and it is impossible for me to do anything otherwise because it is against my very knowledge, then it becomes a value. So a set of values which are becoming values, becoming in as much as, well, they create in my mind, because of their presence, a mind that is abiding, an abiding mind it creates. These values themselves create an abiding mind. For instance, if I have a value for self-assertion, pride, who are you to tell me? I am your boss. Thus there is a self-assertion is there. Who are you? You are another fellow. So if this is the self-assertion, you have a value. In a society where the life is one of contention, then the value for self-assertion is high. And since you have got a value for self-assertion, then you are in for always projection. Because if the other man says or he doesn't say it, he doesn't mean it, even then you will assert yourself that who are you to tell that? Thus you get rubbed. Therefore a reaction, an anger is natural. And in a mind that is angry, that keeps reacting from time to time, is not the mind that is going to discover peace. And suppose such a mind comes to a teacher and it does discover I am peace, the glory belongs to the teacher, not to the student, please. It is a teacher that takes that mind, that restless mind, agitated mind in his hand, and makes that mind be attentive to him. And then for the time being, all his agitations, restlessness, all the causes for agitations, they are all gone. And his ego he has already smothered. And because of that, and his pride, his ego, everything he has smothered, he has seen to it that these things are not there. Therefore his mind is exposed and alert. And he has taken care of that mind and makes that mind see. And the teacher, he sees that, yes, I am peace. And the teacher walks away, peace goes with him. Because it is not a personal glory. It is a glory of the teacher. It is a glory of the teaching. Of course, you are that peace, no doubt. He didn't do any miracle. But then the miracle was that you could see it. That was the only miracle. That you could see that you are at peace with yourself. So that's this miracle he could work on you because of his capacities, because of his power of communication. And therefore he could make you see. And he walks away. You find that you are in the same position. Even suppose you see, I'm telling. Even suppose you see, the knowledge seems to disappear. And you begin to doubt later, intellect being what it is. Was it only a make-believe? Did Swamiji just hypnotize us? And by doing some kind of magic and make us all feel all peaceful? Was it a real thing? Or it is a real thing like Coca-Cola? The real thing. There are many real things in life anyway. Now understand. Therefore a doubt is natural. You begin to doubt your own vision. So this is a peculiar problem. If you don't understand, that is a different problem. If you understand, still you doubt whether I understand or not, because so at the time of teaching it looks everything is bright and beautiful and fine. And afterwards, everything seems to go away. It is a peculiar problem. It is a problem like a beggar, an inborn beggar. You can see a woman begs. And when she begs, she tells that I am carrying, there's a child within, I'm a pregnant woman, please give me something. So the child, when he's inside, very useful for her to beg. And the fellow was born. She put the child on her shoulder and begs again and says, I got a small little baby, please give me something. Okay. Now again the fellow is useful. And again the fellow grows up. Then the fellow goes about and he's asked to go and beg. Unless he knows only one thing, how to beg. Even before he was born, he was useful as for beggary. And born, he was of course useful for beggary. Later he went on begging. And thus he is an inborn beggar. And this fellow, beggar, also wants to become rich. And therefore he bought a lottery ticket. Every time he buys a lottery ticket, and then in India now there are a lot of lotteries going on, state-owned lotteries. Now he bought a lottery ticket, and this lottery ticket, he's hoping that perhaps I will win. Why not? And suppose he wins. He did win. He won a big lottery. Some 500,000 rupees, 10 lakhs. 10 lakhs is million. 500,000, 5 lakhs. 500,000 rupees he won. We get that lottery. Bumper offer, 5 lakhs. Means 500,000. 500,000 rupees he won. He didn't know what 500,000 was, therefore his heart didn't jump out. Otherwise he would have had a heart attack. And thus the fellow survived. And became a rich man and understood what it was all about, assimilated the riches. And then he bought a beautiful house now. And he got a new wife also. And he got a new car, all right. He learned driving. He's a new Naya rich man. He's a new rich man. A new rich man always doubts his riches. Whether he's rich or not, he is not confident. Therefore, what he does, he has to display his riches. And therefore, he put on a lot of rings everywhere, diamond ring and all that, all the fingers. And thus all over, except his nose. Everywhere he had fingers. In all the rings and whatnot he had. Anything. Any place that he can, it is acceptable in the society, all those ornaments he had all over him. He's got a gold wristwatch, a gold chain, and when he talks all the time, he talks like this so that you will know. Understand why? So this is the fellow who has become suddenly rich. Now this fellow, suppose, he goes to the market, and there, as he was going, there in India you can see these scenes, on a platform, somebody brings some sweets for distribution to the poor people. And some beggars are around there, and all these fellows come. And they are all just collecting this, whatever that he is giving, a laddu. Laddu is a sweet like a ping pong ball. That's all I can talk about. So this fellow was distributing, and all the fellows went on stretching their hands and then struggling to get one laddu. And this fellow, he stopped the car. He has got the car key in his hand, because everybody should know that he has got a car. It's very important. Therefore, so with the key in his hand, he is walking, and he saw this big crowd, and immediately stopped there and stretched his hand and caught hold of a laddu. Because he is a born beggar, he knows how to get it. So he just stretched his hand, all these fellows are gaping, he got it and clutched the laddu. And as he was getting the laddu, the other fellow saw the rings dazzling in his fingers. And he wondered, how this fellow with all these rings and gold wristwatch and all that, so well dressed, and he comes for a laddu, and thus that fellow wondered at this fellow having given him the laddu. And in his wonder, this fellow read his mistake. Why? Because he didn't want to collect laddu, but it just happened mechanically. For he can't stand any distribution anywhere, for all his lifetime he has been a beggar. And when some distribution was there, immediately he stretched his hand. And he realized just later, a minute later he realized. But then damage is done. Now please tell me, this fellow curses himself. This beggar comes out only when some distribution is there. Then when will he come out? He will come out only when distribution is there. And when he is driving a car, there is no beggar. But once there is an occasion like this, he becomes beggarly. Please tell me, is he a rich man or a beggar? It's a new problem. Is a rich man or a beggar? He's a beggar. So in India, a fellow who earns 500,000 rupees is a beggar. Then his standard of living must be something, something that I can't imagine. That fellow is, by all standards, he was a rich man. So he is a rich man, but then how can you call him a rich man who goes about collecting laddus? And which are meant for poor people, really. Why? Because he is a rich man factually. Factually he is a rich man, actually he is not. In the sense, even though he is rich, he has not assimilated the riches, for he didn't become rich like that slowly. But then he has become rich just like that. He was skyrocketed, as it were, to be a rich man. And suddenly, having become rich, he is not able to assimilate the riches he owns now. It is because of the very suddenness of the discovery. And therefore, the mind continues to be beggarly, for a habit, whether it is a thinking habit or it is a habit of doing an action in terms of action. Well, a habit always dies hard. Because it grows upon you, a habit grows upon you in time. A habit also dies off you in time. It is just like that, you don't become different. The only problem here is that even though not that he is poor, he knows that he is rich. And he has no problem, he doesn't have the old problem of feeling that I am a poor man. But he knows that he is rich. But in his behavior, his thinking is beggarly. His actions are beggarly. Sometimes his words also are beggarly. So physically, orally, mentally, he continues to be a beggar, for he is yet to assimilate the riches. That because his mind is not prepared for the riches. It is an unprepared mind that suddenly discovers some riches and therefore he continues to be a beggar. You can perhaps understand this another illustration I'll give you. You must have seen this three-dimensional movie. Have you ever seen three-dimensional movie? Must have definitely seen. With the goggles on? Yeah. So with the new goggles, you go and sit there. So the three-dimensional movie, what they do, suppose a man just takes an object in his hand and then throws against the other fellow. There is a fight going on between two fellows. You are sitting there having paid entertainment tax and then again in the theater, and you are sitting there relaxed in a chair, and now this fellow throws a stone against another fellow. The stone directly comes to your head and you duck. And you duck. And having ducked, you realize that I made a mistake. And slowly you see, you slowly see whether the other fellow has seen you. But fortunately, and he also sees you because he also ducked. Now tell me, it's a new problem. So, do you know that you are seeing a movie or not? Please tell me. Do you know that you are seeing a movie or not? Yes. But if you know that you are seeing a movie, how come you duck? For a stone that is there in the movie, how come you duck? What? How come you duck? Well, Swamiji, at that moment, I forgot. Because in my life, I have been ducking all the time. In life, we have been ducking, I tell you. We have been veritable beggars all the time for some crumbs of happiness to fall from the table of life. Moved from unseen hands of chance, we don't know which are those hands. Where are they? And when they are going to dole out, I don't know. And therefore, all the time I pick up these crumbs of happiness, now and then falling for me. Thus, which heart is not a beggarly heart? And this beggarly heart suddenly discovers I am all riches. And it has no capacity to assimilate. It looks as though isolated. The fellow mind is a mind unprepared. Mind stands isolated from the whole riches. It is not able to live up to the riches. And therefore, in such problems, what should we do? We should prepare the mind, please. It should know what it should have, owning which it will be able to enjoy the fruits of this knowledge. There is a lot of difference between another knowledge and this type of knowledge. Here, what I want to know is what I want to be. There, what I want to know is not what I want to be. I may want to know what a cancer is, but nobody wants to be one. And there the knowledge and what I seek to know is different from what I want to be. But here, what I want to be is exactly what I want to know. Naturally, therefore, so this, in spite of discovery, even suppose the discovery has taken place, as it must have, many of you must have seen, that what is being said is not a bluff, and what is being unfolded is truth. You might have seen it clear, but still you will find, Swamiji, my mind is the same. There is a sagging. Once the teacher goes, the mind becomes a pajama. You know pajama? The night dress. Loose. It's called pajama. This is called pajama. If you sit like this is pajama sitting. The mind sags, seems to lose, seems to be the same as it was before. Swamiji, I am the same person you don't know. I hear all this, you know. You are not the same. Because knowledge gained is gained. Here it is a problem of habitual thinking. So that antakarana or the mind, antakarana means mind, must find in itself certain values, certain attitudes towards life, towards things. It should discover that in itself. If it has already discovered the truth to an extent, or as a vision, it got some kind of clearance. But still, if it misses, it's a problem of habit. It's a problem of preparedness and the lack of it. If it is not able to see, again it is the same thing. It's a lack of preparedness. And therefore, whatever that helps me gain this knowledge, not merely the knowledge and to enjoy the fruits of this knowledge, and that is called jnanam, not merely knowledge. Those things enjoying which my mind becomes the receptacle in which I can gather this knowledge. Not only I gather the knowledge, I enjoy the fruits of knowledge. And those things are called jnanam. Jnayate anena iti jnanam. Jnayate anena. By this I am able to gain. By this what is to be known is known for good. And that is called jnanam. Arjuna wanted to know, and Bhagavan tells him these values. Amanitvamadam bhitvam ahimsa kshanti rarjavam. You see, I will repeat. Amanitvamadam bhitvam ahimsa kshanti rarjavam acharyopasanam saucham sthairyamatma vinigraha indriyarteshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam asaktirana bishwangaha putradara grihadishu nityam cha samachittatvam ishtanishtopapatishu mayicha ananya yogena bhaktiravya vicharini vivikta desha sevitvam aratirjana samsadi adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattva jnana artha darshanam yetad jnanamiti proktam ajnanam yadatonyata. Up to this. Yetad jnanamiti proktam. This is said to be proktam. This is said to be yetad proktam. This is said to be what? Jnanam iti. As knowledge. What is that he tells? Knowledge means the means of knowledge. Means of knowledge here means achieving which, having which, possessing which, enjoying which, you are able to gain knowledge. That is the means. It is not like means of knowledge, a pramana. That also is included in it. Later he tells that. Therefore, the means of knowledge, the teaching, and again all other things that are necessary for gaining this knowledge, all of them are together called jnana. Jnayate anena iti jnanam. Understand? By this I gain this knowledge and enjoy the fruits thereof. They are, to begin with, amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshantihi, arjavam, acharya upasanam, stairyam, atma vinigraha, indriyarteshu. Each one is a separate value. Now we should appreciate these values now. What it is. Amanitvam. If you know what it is, and one is aware of this value, one is convinced what is this value, and he is aware of this value all the time, then his personality changes, his mind entirely changes. The antakarana changes. You please see, amanitvam. It's a very beautiful word. Manaha means self-conceit, or an opinion, exaggerated opinion about oneself. So self-opinion is called manaha. And manaha asya astiti mani. Those who know little Sanskrit, for them it is good. Manaha asya astiti mani. Tasya bhavaha manitvam. Tad abhavaha amanitvam. The one who has got this mana, this self-conceit, is called mani. And his state of mind is called manitvam. Amanitvam is the absence of it. It's a negative thing. The absence of manitvam. Do you know what is manitvam? Atmani pujyatva bhavana. An attitude that I am the most respected person, or I am the most respectful person. Everybody should respect me. This is there in everybody. So it is not mere self-respect, but he wants others also to respect himself. So this demand of respect from others is called manitvam. You demand all other people to respect you, and the people sometimes respect you because you demand. Like even suppose there is an officer who always demands some kind of respect, and the other employees should just show some signs of respect to him. They will show signs of respect to him. When the other fellow goes, but suppose you are a man and to whom the others show respect because of something they see in you. That respect is real. Even that is not real, I would say, far. Because he gives respect to you from his own standpoint. He thinks something valuable. A robber will respect another fellow who is a better robber. He is always a respectful guru to him. A hitman, he has got great respect for Josie. You know Josie? Joey. I mean, somewhere I read. So he is a fellow who is a better hitman. He had hit 54 times and never caught. So all other hitmen have got great respect for him. Because if they don't respect, immediately the fellow will pull out. They respect for him. Now what I say, so if others give respect to you, that itself is false, I am telling. It is something like somebody calling, yes, Einstein, a great scientist like him. He is told, oh, you are a wonderful scientist. This fellow doesn't know water boils in 100 degrees C, he doesn't know that. So this fellow says, you are a great scientist. And this greatness, his appreciation of greatness is nothing. It takes a great man to know a great man. At least somewhere near he should be. At least he must have some master's degree in his physics. Then perhaps he can appreciate the greatness of that great scientist. So an idiot who is still doubtful whether 2 plus 4 is 6 or 5, and if he says, oh, Einstein is a great man, it's meaningless. It is something like you are telling me, Swamiji, you have got great Sanskrit knowledge. I say, you don't know anything about Sanskrit. If there is a Sanskrit Pandit who sits before me and then he listens to me and he tells me that, Swamiji, you have got great Sanskrit, that is great. Because he knows what Sanskrit is. Even as I explain, he will know whether I know Sanskrit or not. But if you don't know what Sanskrit is, definitely you are not going to be. Anybody comes and tells some words that you can't mouth, then it is Sanskrit. Understand that? Therefore, so among the crowd of mutes, a blabberer is a great exalted Antony. An Antony who is a great orator. You know Antony? Antony in Shakespeare, in Julius Caesar. So this Antony is a great orator. Brutus and Antony. And this fellow he can only blabber a few words. But all other fellows are mute. They all look at him in great wonder. What a wonderful Antony. Therefore, any respect given by a man to you, it is from his own scales of value. And tomorrow, suppose a fellow changes his scales of value. He reverses his value, as you had done to many gurus, I am sure. And therefore, any baby, any odd fellow was a guru for you in the beginning. But when you were in it for some time, slowly you began to feel your way. Then you begin to understand the bluff and you call the bluff also. And therefore, say, first it's all respect. Oh, he's a great man because everybody told he's a great man. And some people carried him in a palanquin. You thought he must be great, otherwise they won't carry him in a palanquin. And he must be great because there are a lot of people following. Popularity gives you some idea. Because he's very popular, then he must be a great man. I say, to be popular, you need not be a great man. In fact, great men may not be popular because they are too great to become popular because others don't understand him. and therefore, the popular man is generally who does some popular thing. You must know this very well. To be popular, you need not have anything. If you have a big pouch, that's enough. You come in TV and giggle all the time, that is enough. That is enough. You're popular. Every child knows that. But it's meaningless. Therefore, the people that give you respect, they give respect from their own standpoints. And again, they see in you what is not there in fact, sometimes. And later when they find that you have got something else which they consider is bad, then you become a bad man immediately. Therefore, the people who praise you right now are the people who are going to censure you later. And therefore, a man who depends upon the praise of others for his peace, for his happiness, is really bartering away his own mind in the hands of idiots outside. And therefore, such a person is not going to find any peace for. If the other man frowns at him, that is enough, he is thrown out of gear. Where is that peace? I might have told him, you are peace, but peace goes to pieces. Because it is not an abiding thing, because somebody frowned at me, that is enough. A small little blessed thing is enough, this fellow is completely out of gear. Therefore, Bhagavan says, please check up. Whenever there is a reaction, remember, a machine reacts, a man acts. It is a machine that reacts. It is a man that can act. An animal reacts. For it, anything is happening. When a donkey kicked the fellow, it didn't think whether this fellow deserves a kick or not. Thus, it didn't think over deliberately and then lifted the leg and kicked. It felt like kicked. Because it's a happening. There it's controlled by instincts. There is no deliberation. But whereas, similarly a machine much less, there the machine is something that just happens for the machine. As I said the other day, if a motor keeps revolving 80 times per minute, enjoying 80 RPM as you say, then it will revolve